Most people today have never heard of Kyshtym, a forgotten industrial town in the Chelyabinsk region. Quiet, gray, ordinary. But in the summer of 1953, something happened there that still has no scientific explanation. Reality or hysteria? Experiment or accident? No one agrees. All we know is what a poor elderly woman reported. She claimed she found a small living creature in an abandoned storage shack behind her house. She thought it was a dying child, but when she wrapped it in a cloth, it opened its eyes. Not human eyes, large, glass-like, reflecting the entire room. Her name was Tamara Prosvirina, poor, lonely, already considered odd by the villagers. But she wasn't hallucinating. Others saw it. They described the being as 20 to 25 centimeters tall, thin limbs, skin like clay or parchment, no eyebrows, no ears, large black pupils with no whites, small lips constantly moving, a skull that didn't look human. Tamara named it Alyoshenka, like it was a child. According to locals, it responded to her voice. It moved its arms when she fed it water with a spoon. Not a doll, not an animal, not a fetus. Something else. Rumors spread, quietly, fearfully. Eventually, a local paramedic was called to Tamara's house. He later told police, "It was alive. It looked at me. It blinked. And it wasn't human." He described its head as triangular, with soft ridges instead of a skull. The chest was unusually shaped, like the ribs were fused together. Its breathing was shallow but rhythmic. He tried to pick it up. It made a sound. Not a cry, not a whimper. Something between a rustle and a whisper. The paramedic left immediately. He didn't stay long enough to examine the creature. He told his supervisor that something dangerous was in the house. Less than 24 hours later, Tamara was arrested by Soviet authorities and taken to a psychiatric ward. With Tamara gone, neighbors checked her home. Inside, they found blankets thrown on the floor, food bowls tipped over, a small indentation on the bed, but the creature was missing. Some say it escaped, others say someone took it. One woman who saw it days earlier claimed she saw two men in military uniforms entering the shack at night and leaving with a small metal container. Another villager reported loud engine noises behind the house at 3 a.m. When Tamara begged doctors to let her return home because her baby was alone, they sedated her. By the time she escaped the hospital weeks later, everything was gone. Months passed. Then, a horrific discovery. A group of teenagers exploring a wooded area outside Kyshtym found a dried, mummified body half buried near a ditch. It matched exactly what Tamara described. 25 centimeters tall, skin leathery, gray-brown, head triangular, eye sockets unusually large, teeth too small and sharp. Police took the corpse. The teenagers were told to forget what they saw, but one of them didn't. He secretly took photos before authorities arrived. Years later, those grainy photos would leak online, and they look nothing like a human child. The body was transported to a lab. One of the pathologists who touched it described the texture as plant-like, as if the tissue wasn't fully biological. He said the bones were inconsistent with any known species. The skull had only 4 plates, not the typical infant 6. One scientist wrote in a private note, "If this is a mutation, it is unlike any mutation ever recorded." Another wrote, Its structure suggests intentional genetic modification. But all documents vanished. The scientists who handled the body were transferred. Some quickly left the region. One emigrated and later died in a car accident the same year he hinted to colleagues that he had information people wouldn't believe. The Soviet government released a short, cold statement. The specimen is a premature human fetus suffering from severe deformities. But doctors from Kyshtym who had seen the creature alive were furious. One of them said, "Premature fetuses do not blink. They do not move their arms. They do not make sounds. What we saw was not dead." Another nurse added, "I held it. It gripped my finger." Tamara, the woman who found it, insisted until her death. "It was alive. It was not a child. They took it from me." She died in 1999 after being struck by a car under suspicious circumstances. Years later, a former employee of Mayak, the nearby nuclear facility, anonymously claimed, "Experiments on radiation-induced DNA changes were conducted. Small hybrid organisms were grown in artificial wombs. Several test subjects escaped containment. One ended up in the surrounding villages." He said the Kyshtym creature was one of many, but the only one found alive by civilians. There is no proof, but his descriptions match the leaked autopsy sketches almost perfectly. In 2004, a journalist investigating the case received a package. Inside were 3 Polaroid photos, a torn lab document, and an audio cassette. The cassette contained the voice of a distressed researcher repeating, "It survived outside the chamber. It adapted to air. It is learning." The journalist disappeared 2 weeks later. His apartment was found empty except for his notebook. The last page had one line, "Look in the archives near Chelyabinsk. They never destroyed everything." No one has located those archives. The official conclusion says, premature infant with deformities. The unofficial theories include radiation-induced mutation, biological experiment, hybrid organism, extraterrestrial life form, government-created chimera. But the truth is stranger. Science cannot explain the skull shape, bone structure, or preserved tissue. The body disappeared. Witnesses died or vanished. Documents were destroyed. Only the photographs and a handful of terrified testimonies remain. Whatever Tamara found in that shack in 1953, it lived, it watched, it reacted, it tried to survive, and then it was taken away. By who and for what purpose? No one in Kyshtym dares to ask, because some people believe Alyoshenka was only the prototype.